It's the blog segment. The blog. The blog.
As you know, the blog segment is the area of the show, or the segment of the show where I talk about what's going on in my office. And this week, I wanted to talk.
What's going on in your office?
Well, today, I don't know. I'm not there. But anyway, what's been happening a lot recently is I'm getting calls. I got a call from someone that just coming out of bankruptcy, and they had thought that their IRS problem was over because I just came out of a Chapter 13, 5 years I paid, and I thought.
Time for the rebuilding process.
I'm done, yeah.
Right?
So now I'm back, and then they get out, and the IRS starts coming after them again. And so what people don't understand is not all taxes are dischargeable in bankruptcy. And now a lot of times when you're going into bankruptcy, you can't really, it won't make the distinction because usually Chapter 13 bankruptcy especially is a house saving measure. So I'm behind in my mortgage, and I'm trying to save my home. And so it really doesn't matter what kind of debt I have. I need to file that case now because otherwise I'm going to lose my home. And so that kind of negates all these other issues. But if you're thinking about a Chapter 7 bankruptcy, or if you have a little time, you owe the IRS some money, you should have an investigation done about what are the dates that are important when it comes to discharging those taxes in bankruptcy. And so there's three important dates when it comes to discharging taxes in bankruptcy. Mm-hmm. The first is those taxes must be due more than 3 years ago.
Okay.
So here we are in 2019. You file your 2018 taxes in 2019. So 19, 3 years would be 2016. Those would have been 2015 taxes.
Hold on. So math adds up.
So 2015 taxes today, if I were to file a bankruptcy for you today, those taxes must be 2015 taxes now are dischargeable. Okay, or if you have these they all have to be true. So they have to be due more than 3 years ago. You must have filed that tax return more than 2 years ago. So if you haven't filed your tax returns, those aren't going to be dischargeable, and I don't think people understand that. The third thing, those taxes must be assessed more than 240 days ago. Now, the IRS has 3 years to assess a tax against you or to audit you on your tax returns. And that's why sometimes you can have filed it 3 years ago, and then they audited you, and then they assessed the tax after that. So you could have filed, it could be due more than 3 years ago. You may have filed more than 2 years ago, but still the tax hasn't been assessed more than 240 days ago. And also, you can't have any fraud or tax evasion involved. And if those 5 things are true, then those income taxes are dischargeable. There's some kind of taxes that are never dischargeable, like payroll taxes.
Or that makes sense.
What they call a trust fund recovery or other payroll tax. These are not sales taxes if they come after me personally for sales taxes. Those aren't going to be dischargeable because these are trust taxes, which it's not your money. Right? When I have payroll tax and I take money out of my employee's check, I'm supposed to send it to the IRS. If I don't, those are trust taxes, and they can come after me personally. So not just my business, but they go after me too. Okay, mm-hmm. So again, a lot of times people will go into the bankruptcy and they'll think that they'll come out. Well, the IRS only filed a claim, and my plan called to pay 10%, and they allowed me to pay 10%. Well, that doesn't mean that they were discharged. That just because you paid the 10%, because again, those 5 things must be true in order for them to be discharged in bankruptcy. And here's my advice: if you're thinking about filing bankruptcy and you owe the IRS some money,
there's an and in there.
Yes, and
can't it just be so simple?
And nothing's simple, Jim. Everything it depends, right? So, but again, if in fact you owe the IRS money and you're thinking about filing bankruptcy, get the right attorney. And again, whether it's me or someone else, I always like to help you. But if it's not me, you can still come to me, and I would still do an investigation. So a lot of bankruptcy attorneys, they'll tell you, well, it's the tax stuff. We'll just file it and let the fall where they may. Don't you be that. Do an investigation. Figure it out. Figure out what the dates are. It's not that hard to figure out before you file bankruptcy, and know where you're going to land beforehand. Now, it might be that you have to file it anyway, as I mentioned with the Chapter 13 and the house saving, a house saving plan. And then it might not matter. Well, I have to file now anyway. So, but sometimes, and I've had this happen in my office, where we've done the investigation before someone filed a Chapter 7 and learned that, if we just wait 45 days,
that's it.
Then those will be dischargeable. But if we do it now, they won't be dischargeable. And so maybe it's $14,000, as it was in this one case that I'm talking about. There was $14,000 that they owed in taxes. They wanted to file like now. And we did the investigation, said, let's wait 45 days. And we did, and they were dischargeable. So again, you need to know this information, because the court will say, you're in charge of when you file. You don't have to file. And you're in charge of so get as much information as you can before you file bankruptcy to know what the ramifications of this stuff is going to be. Okay, and it's knowable, but you have to do the investigation.
Sounds like our
to find
guest
out.
For next week on the Trust Radio Network, he said the same thing. Attorney Thomas.
Oh
Glasgow.
yes, yeah.
You could get somebody who's a real estate attorney, does it on the and he's like, of course I'll help you. A
lot of lawyers will say that they know how to do bankruptcies, but they really don't. I mean, they kind of do it. They'll take the case because they need the money. Don't go to a lawyer like that.
Well, anyway, ladies and gentlemen, make sure you go with Opem Tax Resolution 312-664-6649 and visit chicagotaxteam.com. It's going to be your hub to fight the IRS. Remember, ladies and gentlemen, Opem Tax Resolution is a trusted professional. And not only that, they help small businesses with their IRS problems, which would surprise you, is a lot of people. So if you have a small business and the IRS is coming after you, give them a call today, 312-664-6649. Stay tuned after the commercial break here on AM560.
The Answer.